Guys, I'm Steve. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another video. If it's your first time stopping by the channel, hit that subscribe button. Trust me, you won't regret it. If you're a returning subscriber, as always, guys, welcome back, and I do appreciate the support. Guys, I want to talk to you about a story out of Houston, Texas. Shout out. And it's about, in fact, let me start by saying this. You know, sometimes you'll meet people that are quote unquote deemed professionals at handling certain situations. They're good at giving advice and counsel to other people that are in need, but a lot of them can't seek their heed to their own advice or counsel in their everyday life. And this story right here reminds me of that type of scenario. This woman that you see up here right now, her name is Jaya Scales. She's 29 years old. She was taking her son, her young son, to see this man. This guy right here, his name is Thaddeus Tolbert. He's 31 years old. He was the therapist for her son's ADHD. So she was that's how she met him, by bringing her son there. He was the doctor. Over some time, they developed a relationship. Everything was good until she wanted to break it off. And then that's when this man lost his cool and the following happened.
Her therapist turned lover nearly killed her when she tried to break things off.
She says he broke into her apartment and pulled a gun on her. ABC 13's Alex Bazarjian is live after speaking to her about the traumatic experience. Alex?
Jaya Scales says Thaddeus Thornton was counseling her young son through an ADHD diagnosis. She says he then encouraged her to seek help. She says after their sessions, he would make passes at her, and that's when they became intimate. But she said Tolbert was never violent, not until she tried to walk away from the relationship. When she did that, she says she ended up bruised and battered.
How did I get here?
It's a question Jaya Scales has been asking herself since April. That's when she found herself ending a relationship with her therapist turned lover.
He was sitting on the couch. I was sitting at his desk. We were talking, and I just said, hey, I just don't want to continue this, relationship with you. And he snapped.
Thaddeus Tolbert, who Scales says is 6'5" and roughly 350 pounds, allegedly pushed her up against a wall. Then she says he pulled a gun out of his waistband and placed it on the table. All of this taking place at his former office on the Southwest Freeway. Court documents say the two were interrupted and Scales escaped.
Thaddeus Tolbert.
It was what happened later that afternoon that landed the licensed therapist in court.
In this case, the complainant stated the defendant started to choke her out and kissed her while doing so.
Over time, Scales grew suspicious of Tolbert and believed he was seeing another woman, and that woman had a child on the way. She says it's what prompted Tolbert to return the same day and bust into her apartment. Scales says he was armed and angry.
He pulled out his gun to put it to my head. I pushed it down, and he hit it back up, so it hit me when he came back up. And then I was just begging him, please just leave. Please just leave. Do anything. You can just leave. And he was like, you know what? I'm going to kill you. I'm going to kill us. I'm going to kill us both.
Scales says she and Tolbert had a brief struggle over her phone, and then he left. He was later charged with aggravated assault and burglary of a habitation. Now in a state of reflection, Scales feels ashamed but compelled to speak out.
I was really caught off guard. I didn't think someone like this could be so capable of this, because he's a mental health professional, because he's a therapist, because he's active in the community. As embarrassed as I am now, I have to do something, because I could have died in here with my child.
Scales feeling like Tolbert intended to manipulate her all along, but she's trading in the word victim for survivor.
I feel like after initial guilt, after blaming myself, I want to hold him accountable.
I did speak with Tolbert's defense attorney. He says his client maintains his innocence and they look forward to presenting their case. As far as Tolbert being a practicing therapist here in Texas, it says his license is still active. We did reach out to find out if he's able to see patients, but we haven't heard back.
Guys, I seen this story yesterday, and I wanted to share it with you guys. I forgot to do it yesterday because I had some internet issues, but I want to read this small law and crime article that has a lot more details in it. And this is crazy for a dude to act like this. Check this out. It says a Houston therapist was allegedly having an extramarital affair with one of his patients who became exceedingly violent with rage when she broke up with him. Law enforcement in the Lone Star State says. Thaddeus Tolbert, age 31, stands accused of 1 count each of aggravated assault with a deadly weapon, burglary of a habitation, according to criminal complaints filed in Harris County. Jaya Scales, 29, first came to know the man when he was her child's therapist beginning in October 2023. Their relationship would develop, still along professional lines, in February 2024, when she began to see Tolbert for her own psychological purposes as well. The ethical road, however, was allegedly worn out soon enough. She started to see him outside of that sexually in March of 2024. According to the complaint, but their romance did not last long. Near the end of that very next month, Scales learned her doctor-turned-lover was married and had children of his own, authorities said. On April 29, Scales was in Tolbert's office and she ended the relationship upon learning about his family, which led to arguing about their relationship, according to the complaint. Defendant took his gun out from his waist and placed it on his table where he pinned her to the wall, the complaint reads. The defendant began to scream at her and say that she could not leave him. The alleged attack only stopped, according to the complaint, when someone knocked on the door. Then Scales took the opportunity to leave and went to go pick her daughter up from school. When the woman arrived back home, she found the therapist waiting for her, idling in his vehicle outside, the complaint says. Scales took precautions by giving her daughter to a neighbor before heading inside her own apartment. Then, when Tolbert entered without a key, she told him to leave. Instead, he began choking her, kissing her, and telling her that he loved her and that he would die before he let her walk away from him, according to the complaint. Tolbert allegedly left the woman's apartment and returned again twice that same day. First, he left because his vehicle was blocking the road and the people were honking. Then he allegedly came back in, pushed his way through the back door, but left when he got a phone call. While the therapist was gone the second time, Scales texted him to say that she would be contacting his wife to tell him about everything that transpired between them and what he did to her, according to the complaint. Tolbert allegedly returned within an hour or so. After allegedly forcing his way inside the house for a third time, a scramble ensued wherein Tolbert alternately apologized to, professed his love for, and choked the woman again, according to the complaint. Complainant stated that she could not breathe and everything became hot. While seeing red and blue spots, the complainant says. The last alleged attack was focused on Scales' cell phones. Tolbert demanded her to unlock her phones and to delete everything, the complaint says. As the two allegedly scrambled over control of the phone, which Scales had thrown into the middle of her couch, Tolbert allegedly pulled out his gun at least twice. One time, the defendant allegedly hit Scales in the chin with the firearm. Scales fought back. She told law enforcement, using her hands to apply a little pressure she could to the man's gun in order to keep him from drawing it and grabbing his arm and face to survive. At one point, the woman called one of her cousins using the speakerphone function. Various of Tolbert's threats to kill everyone were overheard, prompting the incident to stop, according to the complaint. The therapist then allegedly took on a blank look and stared at his former lover, put his gun away, and finally left. Scales later recounted some of Tolbert's alleged extortions as the violence went on. I'm going to kill you. I'm going to kill both of us. Why are you doing this? I love you too much. On May 1st, the woman made her first report in the incident to the Houston Police Department. An intake officer noted that she had a black left eye and bruises on both her upper arms and the tricep area. During an ensued investigation, the alleged victim's neighbor recalled taking Scales' daughter that one day and seeing a man matching Tober's description. The woman's cousin, for his part, recalled an argument on a speakerphone, but said he could not understand what was being said when Tolbert himself was questioned. Hold on, let me go back. It says, when Tolbert himself was questioned, he admitted to being in both locations with Scales on the same day in question. The defendant denied any physical altercation with Scales, according to the Houston Police Department. In May 2023, Tolbert appeared on a podcast to discuss mental health concepts like intergeneration trauma and masculinity. I've told every black mother that I have encountered that has a son, it's definitely difficult to express as a boy, as a young man, my feelings to a woman, because like in my nature, it's my nature to be dominant. It's in my nature to be a man or whatnot, the therapist told the podcast host. And as we have been taught, and unfortunately we pass these things on genetically because we've learned, the previous generations learned from the previous generations, and that is what a man is supposed to do. This is how a man exudes his manhood. On Wednesday, a judge set his bail at $50,000 for each count against the defendant, which he subsequently made, court records showed. Tolbert is next slated to appear in court for his arraignment in August 12th. Now, ain't that something? Grown man, 31 years old, well educated, knows how to deal with trauma situations, got all this knowledge, and don't use it and look stupid as hell, just like somebody that's an uneducated commoner. Just because you got degrees and all of this type of stuff don't mean you can handle normal day-to-day social issues. He was married, messing around, had kids. She found out about it. Came to him, hey man, let's break this off. You did me wrong, this and that. Out of his embarrassment and boastfulness, couldn't let it go. Now, I don't know if you guys looked or not. That girl right there that they just showed was pretty well stacked. She had a nice little, you know what I mean? He couldn't let that go. Said she came to the office to end the relationship. They say he started arguing about it. There is no argument. You was wrong, bro. There's no argument. You know what I'm saying? A lot of times dudes do the stuff they can't take looking stupid. So what he do is he stick to the story. It's similar like when somebody gets caught lying and they keep lying even though you show them on camera that they did something or you show them the proof. I don't want to see that. I ain't do it. Same situation. You had a wife and children that you forsaken for a sexual tryst with this woman. You understand what I'm saying? And she wanted to break it off when she found out it was more to you than what you were saying. And all of a sudden, you turn it up 3 notches. Said he went to the house 3 times. Attacked her each time. Like a bugaboo. You know, and you see this a lot. I had a person living next to me one time and was abusive with his girlfriend. She packed the bags one time and wanted to leave. He kept getting in her way. Why are you doing this? But it was people outside. He couldn't do nothing. So he looked stupid like a child. So he got in front of her face and blocked her and hugged her and like tried to pick her up and walk her back to the house like he was playing, but he was really mad and he didn't think nobody knew. Somebody called the cops on him. He got out of here. Some people won't let themselves go. It's like no matter what they do, you're supposed to stick by them or act like you don't see a direct slight against you. Woman had a son that she was taking to him. Then she had a daughter. He gonna act the fool in front of the daughter if she hadn't took that daughter in there with the neighbor. Think about that. This guy was making passes at her for a while. You know what I mean? She attractive chick. He was making passes at her for a while. Once he bagged it, could have let it go. She had that juicy fruit. Do-do-do-do-do-do-do. He couldn't let it go. He was in two-mate. You know what I'm saying? This guy's a therapist. Worked hard to get where he's at. Ready to throw it away over some coochie. It's crazy. You know what I mean? She said, I'm gonna tell your wife. I'm gonna tell her everything. That set him off into a rage. Let me tell you something, ladies. If you come in contact with somebody and they do something like this, never threaten to tell somebody on them that can like get them in trouble or whatever, or cause a confusement. Because this type of stuff, a guy will kill you over that. We see time and time again. I'm gonna tell this. Oh no, you not. And then boom. Even though they're wrong or not, they not gonna go for that type of stuff. So it's best to just get away from people. She tried to end it. He wouldn't let go. He is a professional male. Talking about his manhood and what men's supposed to do, this and that. When it comes to affairs of the heart, man, a lot of childishness comes into play. It's a perfect example of that. This guy looks stupid as hell. He ain't lost his license, but still, come on, man. He used that position he had and came across some people, a woman, and used it for his benefit, and it backfired on him. I'm Stock Market Steve for the Dynamic Reason channel. As always, like, comment, share, and subscribe. I'll see you in the next video. Take care.